Before we get into our Bengals 7-round mock draft, if you, like me, are hyped, excited, can't wait for the 2024 NFL draft, then like today's video right now. It is a 7-round mock draft for the Bengals. I use the Pro Football Network simulator. Yeah, they're still always a little bit broken, but they're better than what they were back in January. First up, some notable players who went off the board in this particular sim. Talisay Fuaga off the board at 13, Brock Bowers at 14. Everyone's down bad. 2 corners, Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo to the Colts, Terrion Arnold from Bama to the Jags at 17, Troy Patano as well off the board to Seattle, getting to go with his old offensive line coach and OC. Kind of funny how that one turned out there. So at round 1, pick number 18, I'm going to go with the right tackle still. I do believe that is the more likely path the Bengals elect to pursue. The way the board fell, plenty of viable options here. But from what this team typically likes at offensive tackle, JC Latham, or offensive line in general, JC Latham fits that mold very well. He is a strong, powerful offensive lineman, big boy. Now, there are concerns here. Don't get me wrong. He didn't do any testing pre-draft, which, doesn't benefit me in terms of, do I trust him being a great athlete? I have concerns about that. He did not give me a chance to answer those in the pre-draft process. Maybe some Marcus Cannon vibes here. I've got that first-round, second-round tweener grade on him at this stage. I do think he moves still pretty well for a guy that's almost 6'6", 340 pounds with 35-plus inch arms. This is, I think, a plug-and-play option at right tackle. If it doesn't go well, you can always kick him on into the inside and try him at guard, too. The board fell pretty well for the Bengals, and I'm not doing trades in this mock draft because, well, they also typically don't like to do trade downs given their historical perspective and paths and typical moves from that perspective. But I actually like Amarius Mims more than JC Latham. I don't think most teams are going to feel that way, and I'm trying to do what I think the Bengals would do. Nate Wiggins is there if you want a corner. Both defensive linemen are there, Johnny Newton and Byron Murphy. If you didn't have 2-3 techniques, might have taken one of those guys already. You need a nose guard. And Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU also on the board. So I went with Latham. Not everyone will agree, and that's totally fine. Who do you want the Bengals to draft in round 1? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section, the pinned comment of today's video, especially if that ad comes here on YouTube. Couple very intriguing names off the board. Ladd McConkey, well gone, which I think would be a dream pick for the Bengals in the middle of the second round with what they want. Devondre Sweat is gone. Darius Robinson is gone. Troy Franklin, Malachi Corley. Kamari Lassiter is gone. The cornerback grouping getting a little bit thin for my liking. McKinnley went round 1. So I'm going to go with Ennis Rakestraw out of Missouri. Another example of not someone I love as much. I've seen round 1 buzz for Rakestraw. I'm not on board with that. Fringe top 50? Okay, that's a very different conversation there. Should be telling that teams didn't throw his way. The teams didn't want to go at him. Just 28 targets in 9 games played this year. Predominantly an outside corner. Pretty fluid and smooth and all those things you like to have in a corner. Not a ton of ball skills, but didn't get beat very much. And we do know for this team that corner is an area of concern they have been trying to find help at. And I think adding another young piece certainly could make some sense. 4'5", 140. Got some agility questions there. I think there is some good talent for Rakestraw. Wouldn't be my favorite pick, but the quarterback board kind of went a bad way for me, unfortunately, in this particular sim. Others on the board in round 2, Trey Benson, Rook Ororo, Patrick Paul, thought about Jalen Polk, Michael Hall. Good DTs available, but I need a run stopper. Stay tuned for that one, by the way. Love this pick in the 3rd round, Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. This is, I think, the exact type of receiver the Bengals are going to have their eye on in the upcoming NFL draft. The production was good, not great. He was never a 1,000-yard receiver at Florida, but he played inside and outside. Was more of a slot receiver at Florida, showed he can do both. I think that team was a little bit disappointed the Bengals were with the way Charlie Jones played. Also offers punt return ability, by the way. Had the catch of the year against Charlotte. He is older. That is a red flag for me. Got a late second-round grade on him, though. In a loaded wide receiver class, I think you'll be able to find somebody very, very good more in the back end in the middle even, of that third round. Now, when these players or other players get drafted by Cincinnati, they will be rocking these hats. The official 2024 NFL draft hats are out now. The link is chatsports.com/Bengals draft hat. Now, you might notice there's some of like the I'll call it a 3D effect of the logo or some different color schemes behind it. Make sure you check out the photo to get a good feel for it. I've seen some in person. I actually think they look better in person than they do even in the photos there. So check it out. Chatsports.com/Bengals draft hats. Take you right into the wide variety of bills and snapbacks and adjustable fits, etc. Over at Fanatics. The third-round comp pick, give me McKinnley Jackson out of Texas A&M. If you can't get Sweat in the second round, I think Jackson in the third makes so much sense for Cincinnati. Big boy, 6'1.5", 126 pounds, almost 34-inch arms, by the way. I think he fits kind of best as more of a one-gapper than a two-gapper scheme, so that I think does fit pretty well in the 4-3 base this Bengals team tends to use. Size and length is there. He's a shorter guy, has leverage. I thought he was better in 2022 in a smaller sample size. Played a little bit more 3-tech that year, by the way. Got to check out the 2021 suspension for some drug charges he faced. But you need a nose guard. And I think Jackson is the second best one. You get him here in the third round. Let's go to the fourth round. You know he's going to take a tight end at some point, right? It's Theo Johnson. I've got about a fourth-ish round grade on him. I think he could go earlier, though, because this is a freak athlete at tight end from Penn State. Shocker, Penn State putting another freak athlete there. He needs time, though. This is a boom or bust player. You need to have patience to unlock the athletic upside. He needs time to learn how to be a full-on receiver. Yeah, he's Canadian-born, so it's not like Canadians are good at football very much anyway. Patience required. It's a fourth-round pick. You have time. You have Mike Gesicki on your roster. A 39.5-inch with a 4.5, 740 at nearly 260 pounds. You gamble on that guy in day two and hope you maximize the athletic traits moving forward. Now, we will have plenty of Bengals coverage here for you on the channel. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button. YouTube.com/Bengals TV. Zach Zinter is a pretty easy-ish eval on the field. It's the valuation that's tough because of the nasty leg injury he suffered down the stretch at Ohio State. He didn't get beat really at all in pass protection. 5 hurries allowed in a very run-heavy scheme for Michigan. Was one of the better run blockers on that team. I think is a tough football player with some power behind him. Does fit that Bengals offense fairly well, all things considered. You also ran into issues with the injury. You have a lot of picks this year. So I think you could spend a 5th-round pick on Zach Zinter and just put him on the NFI list. Stash him for a year and have a piece potentially next year and have him grow back into a starter coming off the nasty injury. Some value here in the 6th round, Tommy Eichenberg. You know, we're talking about that sideline-to-sideline linebacker NFL teams love. This is not him. Eichenberg is a throwback linebacker. He is a thumper. He is the brother of Liam Eichenberg, by the way. I don't know if he can really help on third downs, but on early downs, as a depth linebacker, I got a 5th-ish round grade on him, by the way, I think you can have some help here. I think the sideline to sideline is just not good enough. Got to vet some medical stuff as well. Big step back this year, by the way, from 2022 to 2023. I hate using the word exposed, by the way. I think it's an overused term that is often used to just totally diminish anything that player had done previously. I do kind of worry about the things he was asked to do, particularly in coverage, led to some red flags. I think the straight line speed is going to be good enough, though, to survive as an early down player. When it comes to draft picks, do you trust the Bengals? Y for yes, N for no in the comments section. 6th round, pick number 214 overall out of Troy, another running back. Kamani Vidal had a pretty solid pre-draft process, all things considered. Remember how the Bengals made a big deal about, we got to find that pass protection, that third down back, replace Samaje Perine? Then they didn't last year. I just did. Very productive player at Troy, and I think is one of the better pass protectors in this year's draft class as a young player who can carve out a role for him and potentially replace, or at least have him fight to replace, Travion Williams. 7th round. Look, we are in the 7th round. There are no bad picks. I'm going to take flyers on guys that are very, very gifted athletes because more often than not, those guys tend to end up hitting better than other guys. The production is not impressive for Myles Cole. 6.5 TFLs, 3.5 sacks, but at 6'6", almost 280, the athletic ability is. He has nearly 37-inch arms. That is unbelievable. He's got a 35-inch foot, ran a 4.67 at that size. Screw it. Like, the production's bad, yeah. Maybe it was the coaching. I can try something with those athletic traits and maybe even stash him on the practice squad for a year. The kind of opposite of Tommy Eichenberg is Kalen DeLoach. He is a weak side linebacker. He's got great straight line speed and, isn't very big and needs help from that perspective. His profile to me screams, I'm going to be a special teams stud. Or at least that's what you hope it'll end up being. Did some blitz stuff. I think the instincts are still kind of a little bit more raw. Eichenberg's are pretty good, all things considered from that perspective. But Kalen DeLoach, I think, is a great 7th round pick. And, I think you could double dip at linebacker. Let him compete with guys like Devin Harper for one of those final spots. So to recap this Bengals mock draft, JC Latham out of Alabama, Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri, Ricky Pearsall from Florida, McKinnley Jackson out of A&M, Theo Johnson from Penn State, Zach Zinter out of Michigan, Tommy Eichenberg from OSU. Don't worry, guys. I took one of Michigan and one from Ohio State, so you guys can't get mad for college lines. Kamani Vidal, Myles Cole, and Kalen DeLoach. You can be mean or praiseworthy about the mock draft. I don't even love Latham pick myself. I think it's very realistic, though. Grade the Bengals mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F.